The day my wife fired me was the day she finally looked at me like a stranger. Not angry, not guilty, just finished. I still remember how the glass walls of the executive floor reflected my face, tired eyes, clenched jaw. A man who had spent years believing loyalty meant something. Her name was Elena, my wife, the woman I married when we had nothing but borrowed furniture and shared dreams. Now she sat behind a massive desk that I helped her earn, legs crossed, chin lifted, wearing a confidence that didn't belong to her alone. The CEO sat beside her, Victor Kane. Everyone in the company knew his reputation, brilliant, ruthless, untouchable. What they didn't know was what I had discovered 3 nights earlier. By accident. I had come home early. Their laughter stopped too fast. Her silk robe wasn't tied. His jacket was on my chair. But betrayal hurts less than humiliation. Security will escort you out, Elena said calmly, sliding a termination letter across the desk, effective immediately. I didn't raise my voice, didn't beg, didn't expose them. I just asked one question. Was it worth it? She didn't answer. Victor smirked instead. And that's when I understood something powerful. They thought I was finished. What Elena never knew, what Victor never bothered to check, was that my name wasn't just on an employee badge. It was buried deep in places they never looked. Silent investments, holding companies, assets built while they were busy chasing pleasure. As security grabbed my arm, I turned back once. Elena avoided my eyes. That was fine. The people who don't look at you when they betray you are never ready to look at you when you rise. I walked out with nothing in my hands, and everything already in motion. Chapter 2. The Power They Never Saw. The elevator doors closed behind me with a soft metallic click. No applause, no farewell, just silence. As the numbers descended, I loosened my tie for the first time that day and exhaled slowly, not in defeat, but in calculation. Elena thought she had erased me. Victor thought he had replaced me. But power doesn't always sit in the corner office. Sometimes, it hides where arrogant people never bother to look. 3 years earlier, while Elena was obsessed with climbing the corporate ladder, I was quietly stepping off it. I stopped chasing titles, stopped asking for recognition, and started building something separate. Shell companies, silent partnerships, minority stakes in firms that didn't look impressive yet. Logistics, medical supply chains, private equity funds that preferred anonymity over attention. I signed documents under holding names no one questioned, because no one thought I mattered enough to investigate. That night, after being fired, I didn't go home. I went to a hotel overlooking the city Elena believed she owned. I poured a drink, opened my laptop, and made one call. Activate everything, I said calmly. There was a pause on the other end. Are you sure? My lawyer asked. Once we move, there's no going back. I looked at the city lights, the same city where my wife had just humiliated me publicly. Yes, I replied. It's time. By morning, the ripple began. A medical supplier, Victor's company, relied on refused contract renewal. A logistics delay stalled shipments. An acquisition Elena proudly announced quietly collapsed. Emails flooded her office. Meetings were canceled. Excuses started piling up. Victor blamed his team. Elena blamed stress. Neither blamed me, because neither of them could imagine the man they discarded was the one pulling the strings. I watched from a distance, not with joy, not with hatred, with clarity. Betrayal didn't break me. It focused me. I realized something important that day. They didn't just underestimate my position. They underestimated my patience. And patience, when paired with ownership, is the most dangerous form of power. That evening, I received an unexpected notification. Board meeting scheduled. Emergency session. Victor Kane's company, the same company Elena believed controlled her future. I smiled for the first time since the affair, because I knew what the agenda would reveal. And soon, they would finally learn who they really fired. Chapter 3. The Boardroom Turn. The boardroom was unusually quiet. Too quiet. Victor Kane sat at the head of the long glass table, fingers tapping with forced confidence. Elena sat 2 seats away, arms crossed, heels perfectly aligned, composed on the outside, restless underneath. The emergency meeting had been called overnight. No one explained why, and that scared them more than bad news ever could. The screen flickered to life. Financial projections, supplier contracts, delayed shipments, red numbers. One of the board members cleared his throat. Victor, we've lost 3 major partners in 48 hours. Victor frowned. That's impossible. Those contracts were solid. Another director leaned forward. They were. Until ownership changed. Elena's eyes lifted sharply. Ownership changed? She repeated. The room shifted. Not panic yet, but confusion. And confusion is always the first crack. Then my name appeared on the screen. Not directly. Not obviously. Just initials. A holding company registered under a neutral address. Another layered beneath it. Then another. A maze. But all roads led to one conclusion. The same investor had quietly acquired controlling influence over 4 companies Victor depended on. And that investor was sitting nowhere in the room. Yet everywhere on the screen, Victor laughed nervously. So what? Some faceless fund manager wants leverage? The legal advisor adjusted his glasses. This faceless manager now controls your supply chain. Your medical distribution and... He paused. Has voting power over 2 of your subsidiaries. Silence. Elena felt it before she understood it. That sinking pressure behind the ribs. The sense of being watched by consequences. Her phone buzzed. One message. Unknown contact. Funny how power feels invisible until it's gone. Her breath caught. She didn't show it, but she knew. Somehow. This wasn't random. Victor slammed his hand on the table. Find out who's behind this, now. The advisor hesitated. There's one more thing. The screen changed. A familiar logo appeared. Elena's company. Her pride. Her throne. The same investor, the advisor said carefully, has acquired a silent majority stake here. Elena stood up so fast her chair scraped loudly. That's impossible, she snapped. I would have known. The advisor met her eyes. Not if you never thought the source mattered. Across the city I watched the meeting unfold on a secure feed. Not smiling. Not celebrating. Just observing. This wasn't revenge. It was correction. They believed power was loud. Public. Arrogant. I learned long ago. Real power moves quietly. Until there's nowhere left to run. Elena's phone buzzed again. This time a name appeared. Me. Her hand trembled as she answered. Before she could speak, I said calmly, You fired the wrong man. The line went dead, and the room around her finally began to collapse. Chapter 4. When Power Starts Begging. Elena didn't sleep that night. She sat alone in her penthouse living room. City lights flickering like broken promises through the glass walls. Her phone lay face down on the table. Silent, but heavier than anything she owned. For the first time in years, silence scared her. By morning, the news had already begun to spread. A leaked report, an anonymous whistleblower, a sudden investigation announced by regulatory authorities. Victor Kane's name was everywhere. Elena, her assistant whispered urgently over the phone. The media is downstairs. They're asking about the boardroom changes. Elena closed her eyes. This wasn't damage control anymore. This was collapse. She arrived at the office to find chaos. Lawyers rushing through corridors. Executives arguing in hushed tones. Phones ringing without answers. Victor stood near the windows, jacket off, tie loosened. His reflection fractured in the glass. This is your fault, he said when he saw her. Eleanor laughed. A sharp, hollow sound. My fault? She replied. You're the one who underestimated him. Victor turned slowly. Who is he? She didn't answer. Because saying my name out loud suddenly felt dangerous. The board reconvened. No shouting this time. No arrogance. Just fear. The chairman cleared his throat. We've received formal notice. Our primary investor has requested a personal meeting. Victor stiffened. When? Today. Elena's heart dropped. She already knew the answer to the question she was afraid to ask. Where? She whispered. The chairman swallowed. Here. Across the city, I adjusted my cufflinks calmly. This building used to be my workplace, my prison, the place where I was escorted out like a criminal. Today, I would walk in unannounced, not as an employee, not as a victim, but as the man who decided their future. When the elevator doors opened, silence followed me. People recognized power instinctively. It didn't matter that they didn't recognize me. They felt it. Elena stood frozen near the conference table when she saw me. Her lips parted. No words came out. I met her gaze, not with anger, not with pride, but with clarity. Sit, I said softly. She did. Victor tried to stand tall. So you're the one hiding behind shell companies? I smiled faintly. No, I'm the one you thought you destroyed. I placed a single folder on the table. Inside, contracts. Transfers. Proof. Every move they made against me. Every illegal shortcut. Every betrayal. I didn't come to threaten you, I said calmly. I came to inform you. The room held its breath. You no longer own your lives the way you think you do. Victor's voice cracked. What do you want? I looked at Elena. Not with love. Not with hate. With inevitability. I want the truth, I said. Public, complete, and honest. Elena's eyes filled with tears. Not because she loved me, but because she finally understood. She had married power once, and fired it. Chapter 5. The Confession the World Couldn't Ignore. The press room was overflowing. Cameras, microphones, flashing lights. Elena stood behind the podium. Fingers gripping the edges so tightly, her knuckles had turned white. Behind her, the company logo loomed large, once a symbol of dominance. Now a spotlight exposing every crack. I stood off to the side, invisible to the cameras, impossible to ignore. Victor leaned toward her, whispering through clenched teeth. Don't say anything unnecessary. Elena didn't look at him. She looked at me. And for the first time since the day she fired me, she nodded. She cleared her throat. My name is Elena Carter, she began, voice trembling. And I'm here to take responsibility. The room went silent. Responsibility was not a word people expected from her. She spoke slowly, about insider deals, about manipulation, about how power made her cruel and how cruelty made her blind. She didn't cry. That hurt more, because it meant this confession was real. Victor stepped back, shaking his head. This isn't part of the plan, he hissed. But the plan had already changed. A reporter shouted, Did you fire your husband to protect your affair with the CEO? Elena froze. The question hung in the air like a blade. She closed her eyes. Yes. Gasps rippled through the room. I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No anger. Only completion. Victor lunged forward. You're destroying us. Elena turned to him. No, she said quietly. I'm telling the truth. You destroyed us. Security stepped in. Victor was escorted out, not as a leader, but as a liability. The cameras followed him. The world watched him fall. After the press conference, Elena found me alone in the hallway. No audience, no power, just us. I ruined you, she said, voice breaking. And you still didn't humiliate me. I looked at her. I didn't come back for revenge, I said. I came back for balance. She whispered. Is there anything I can do? I paused. Yes. She looked up, hope flickering. Live with what you chose. And I walked away. Chapter 6. The verdict. No one escaped. The courtroom didn't feel like a place of justice. It felt like a waiting room for consequences. Polished wood, muted murmurs, eyes watching every breath I took. Elena sat 3 rows ahead of me, not beside Victor, not beside lawyers whispering strategies. Alone. For the first time in her life, no one was protecting her position. The judge entered. Everyone stood. Everyone except Victor, already seated, already broken. The prosecutor laid out the timeline. Emails, transfers, private meetings that were never meant to be public. Every slide on the screen felt like another nail. Victor stared straight ahead. Elena looked down. I looked at neither. Then came my name, not as a victim, as an owner. The room shifted when the documents appeared. Shares, shell companies, quiet acquisitions made while they thought I was erased. The judge adjusted his glasses. So the majority stake, he said slowly, belongs to Mr. Carter. A murmur swept the room. Victor finally turned toward me. His eyes widened. Not with anger, with fear. You? He whispered. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The verdict came like a whisper that shattered glass. Victor. Removed from all executive positions. Assets frozen. Charges pending investigation. Elena. Stripped of authority. Banned from board-level decision-making. Required public restitution. No prison. That was mercy. Sometimes mercy hurts more. Outside the courthouse, cameras waited again. But this time they weren't asking questions. They were waiting for a statement from me. I stepped forward. Elena watched from behind. Hope flickered. I spoke calmly. This company will move forward, I said. Quietly, cleanly, without drama. A reporter asked, Will your ex-wife remain involved? I paused, then answered. As a reminder. Elena closed her eyes. Later she found me near the steps. You won, she said softly. I shook my head. No, I replied. I survived. There's a difference, she swallowed. Do you hate me? I met her gaze. Hate requires effort, I said. I don't spend effort on the past. And for the first time, she understood. Chapter 7. The Man Who Owned the Silence. The office was empty. Not abandoned? Emptied. Desks cleared. Awards removed. Photographs taken down like they never mattered. I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, watching the city move without knowing what had ended inside this building. Power doesn't announce itself when it arrives. It settles. The door opened behind me. Elena stepped in. No heels. No designer coat. No confidence borrowed from someone else's shadow. Just her. I heard you're selling the West Division, she said quietly. I'm restructuring, I replied. She nodded like someone accepting gravity. There was a long silence. Not awkward. Fina. I never thought you'd do this, she said. I turned slightly, not to face her fully. You never thought I'd survive, I corrected. Her breath caught. She moved closer. I didn't sleep with Victor for power, she whispered. I did it because I was scared. I finally looked at her. Scared of what? She swallowed. Of being ordinary. The honesty surprised even her. I saw you, she continued, voice breaking. Quiet, steady, patient. And I thought you were weak. I didn't interrupt. I let her speak into the silence she helped create. When he fired you, she said, I thought I had won. Her voice cracked. But standing in that courtroom, watching you own everything. She laughed softly, hollow. I realized I married ambition and divorced strength. I walked to my desk, opened a drawer, removed a single envelope. I placed it on the table between us. What's this? She asked. A resignation, I said calmly. Yours. Her eyes widened. You're firing me? No, I replied. I'm releasing you. She stared at the paper. After everything, you're just letting me go? I nodded. Punishment keeps people tied to you, I said. Freedom is heavier. Tears fell, not dramatic, not loud. Real. I ruined us, she whispered. Yes, I agreed. She looked up, desperate. Is there any chance? I raised my hand gently. No, I said. There's no coming back from becoming strangers. That was the moment it hit her. Not anger, not hatred, finality. She left without another word. The door closed softly. No slam. No hecho. I returned to the window. Below, people hurried. Chasing love, money, validation. I had chased those once too. Now I owned something else. Peace. The company thrived. Victor disappeared. Elena moved away. And my name? It stopped being whispered. It started being respected. I didn't win her back. I didn't destroy her. I became someone who never needed either. And that was the only ending that mattered.